Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Star Citizen Alpha 3.6.0M has gone out again. This is the latest PTU patch. It's also out to Wave 2, and this is known as the Active Participation Wave. In addition to Evocati Concierge and subs, it's now also some players that have been very active and involved with the Issue Council or have played a lot of Star Citizen in general. Sometimes more players will be added, but it's likely to go to Open PTU next from here. You can see if you have access by going to the settings tab on your account on the RSI website, and if Public Test Universe is there in yellow, then you have access. You can click that and then copy your account over to the PTU. There is also some server maintenance with this patch as well, which will require even Wave 1 players to copy their account again as well, otherwise you'll get an error when you try and log into the game. There is also an updated launcher for people that haven't already got it that combines live and PT launchers into one, which you will also need to download. I'll put links to all of that sort of jazz down below, sort of like a PTU FAQ. But let's check out the patch notes and updates with Star Citizen Alpha 3.6.0M because it is reasonably feature full. As I said, this is the second time we've had the 3.6.0M patch. The first time it was too unstable, and they rolled it back to the L patch for the weekend, so that people could play in the PTU better than the M patch was super crashy, basically. It's now an entirely new patch with some additions beyond what it had before. The testing focus is the law and criminality system, weapon optics and the customization of your FPS weapons, ship component degradation, shields, missile damage and countermeasures, hover mode and acceleration control, head tracking, hacking gameplay, pip accuracy and ship jitter, the Vanguard Warden Hoplite and P-72 Archimedes. Let's talk about additions and bug fixes though. They've added misfire events to ship components. Although we partly had that before, it's now more ready to be tested and has more full implementation. Ship components now have a chance to misfire. Components will not misfire when in perfect condition. Misfire chances increase with increasing degradation, damage and heat. Misfires will be in various magnitudes. Minor, visual blips. Major, periods of reduced functionality. Critical, temporary shutdowns of that component. If your ship is acting odd or you suddenly crash or lose power, it's probably due to a misfire. So sort of bear that in mind if you're in combat or whatever, if you're doing interesting maneuvers planet side with your thrusters and afterburner constantly, your ship components are going to be overheating, they're going to be degrading, and if you're in combat they're going to be degrading, and they will start to misfire potentially. They've added customization options for optics for FPS weapons. There is a 1x red dot sight, a holographic 3x sight, a telescopic 4x, and a telescopic 8x sight. Some weapons can use all of these, some of them can use some of these. It's dependent on the weapon. This customization currently is done via the Mobiglass, via the equipment manager. Equip the weapon you want, and then a sub-item slot will appear, and then you can put the scope there. These scopes can be bought at various equipment and FPS gear shops. Use the terminals at the moment to purchase them. They do appear on the walls, but I can't seem to actually buy them directly off displays. At the moment, it has to be from the sort of like kiosks. In the future, but not in 3.6, they're going to expand this system to allow magazine, barrel, and underbarrel modifications to FPS weapons as well. And I also suspect a lot more different types of scope. There's improved atmospheric flight handling of the M50 in this patch as well. They've updated the neutron cannon VFX to match those of the neutron repeater. Scanning while mining is now based on gimbal aim direction rather than fixed forward. VFX and lighting updates have been made for the Vanguard. They've reduced audio-driven camera shake on weapons. They've changed vehicle destruction from a misdemeanor to a felony, which means that you're going to get a criminal rating for it if you do it effectively. It's a much greater crime. This should reduce pad ramming, in my opinion. They've improved interdictions and environmental missions, so they spawn closer to planetary bodies. And this makes content feel a lot more grouped and closer together when you're moving around sort of like a planetary system. So if I'm in Crusader, just going around the moons there feels like there's more content now. And one of the things they are trying to do for 3.6 is group all that content together. So if you are in a small ship, if you're just in a ship that isn't meant to travel from Hurston to Crusader constantly, you can just stay around Crusader or just stay around Hurston and do loads and loads and loads of missions there, and just very, very occasionally travel between the two if you wanted to. There's quality of life polishes for the hacking window and interaction of hacking. In fact, they've reduced hacking times for comrades as well, and they have fixed crash issues with Security Post Korea and approaching the hackable console there to hack down your criminal rating. You can now approach it, you can now use it. They've added an option to use the raw head tracker output, and head tracking does actually seem to be focus for 3.6, getting it in a good place, and they've added optional head roll for head tracking for seated position as well. Bug fixes. Players should no longer respawn in their easy hab after loading back if they've previously logged out in a bed on a planet's surface. So basically, logging out in a ship's bed should work more consistently now. And they've also done some other fixes to that as well. Targeting pips should no longer continue to show and lock to screen after a weapon is destroyed. Text color should now reflect the header color for the chat settings. The warning storage full audio should no longer play when the player isn't attempting to fill their hold. Collision sounds should now play when in EVA. Comrade hack missions should now be back in the mission broker. Acceleration axis ABS binding should now work properly. Interdictions should now occur as normal. The grey cat should now properly break apart when it explodes. Escorted ships as part of a mission should no longer just fly in circles. They've added a weapons rack to the back of the hoplite interior. Comrade missions should now be able to complete correctly. Mineable entities should now consistently complete their scan and display rock energy levels. Landing in the Avenger should no longer be subject to frequent ship shaking. Cycling in and out of scan mode should no longer cause details to be lost until the player toggles it on and off again. The weapon ammo counter on the arc-light pistol should now fit correctly. Power draw on the mining laser for the prospector should no longer cause it to shut down. Counter missions for comrade hacking should now be generated correctly. Ping scan blob VFX should now be present for single mineable entities. VFX for fracturing rocks should now spawn at the correct locations. Unlawful goods should now properly be generated during associated missions at the Grimhex delivery lockers. Hammerhead turret rooms should no longer lack atmosphere. Ship weapons should now properly cease firing when they overheat. They fixed a load of stuff as well. Head tracking issues being considered inactive when centered, an issue where some MFD screens would be blank for the co-pilot or support seat, missing information on MFDs, missing transit timers at Lawville gates 1, 2 and 3, an issue where a player's elevator can visibly pass through another's, missing Joker distortion cannon impact VFX, some odd head tracking angles that were occurring, an invisible carousel selection issue on the character customizer, although I still have that problem. Problems with AR scan markers for the contact blob remaining at origin position after contacts have vanished. Weapons and weapon sights lagging behind the camera while in EVA. Players on the marine side in Echo 11 occasionally spawning in EVA. The desync problems that caused players to be incorrectly seen inside a ship's interior. Missing moving part and ambient sounds on some ships have also been fixed. And 6 server crashes and 17 client crashes. That is a lot of client crashes, and it shows the stability. There are some listed known issues with the patch still. Textures will display across the visor on some helmets. Depending on the ship, sometimes when attempting to file an insurance claim, the timer will either start with a long delay or never start at all. The cargo lift elevator of the Reclaimer may move in the wrong direction. AI ships have an unintended wing wobble behavior. Accepted combat assist beacons will sometimes not spawn incorrectly. And if you're having an issue with the Vanguards or the Prospector, try recopying your account to the PTU as a workaround. There are some bugs with the optics and scopes at the moment where the crosshairs might be obscured and appear as a white box. The lore system is only partly implemented, but now you'll be interdicted and stopped by security who will scan you. If you move too far away from them while you're being scanned, it will net you a criminal rating. And if you're caught with stolen goods or narcotics or stuff that you shouldn't be, then again, they will either chase you or attack you or give you a criminal rating or fine based on the crime. They seem to be really trying to get head tracking in a good place for the live build as well. There is problems with a lot of background sound when sort of like you get called by the security forces or NPCs that are attacking you or whatever, with some of the new audio anyway. They're just sort of like the background sound is incredibly loud, and I just suspect that that's just a bug or an error on their part that they'll fix in the near future. The hacking gameplay is being refined to be more enjoyable, but the 3.6, but it is a bit of a time sink and pretty simple at the moment. There's a lot of fixes there. Major blockers still at the moment, ship jitters and pips and ESP, stuff like that, general ship combat, the general AI, although the AI is a lot better. There are still major problems with it. The character customizer also requires you to accept your character every time you log on at the moment, sort of like you've clicked customize character rather than play game. Hover mode is still very much being dialed in, so sort of bear that in mind. And the 3.6 PTU is very much still being tested. There's lots of stuff they need to get dialed in beyond that. There is camera shake that they're planning to get fixed for the next patch. When I was talking about ESP as well, I suppose it's worth mentioning. ESP is in a terrible place at the moment. Turning it off is recommended, in my opinion, at the moment in this particular PTU patch, unless you want to test it and give full feedback on it, which I'm sure a lot of people do. For the most part, this patch is actually pretty damn stable. Performance is good, and ship AI seems to be working in some situations, although security forces especially sort of like just wobble in front of you, but that's a known issue that they're trying to fix. There's a lot less rubber banding and a lot less problems like that, though, which is much better. That gives me a lot of hope that the 3.6 live patch will be in a good enough state to be pretty playable. It's certainly much more playable, this current patch, than previous PTU patches in the 3.6 branch, and certainly the previous M patch that they had. It's very possible we could have open PTU for the weekend if some of those more major issues are solved, and I'd say that we're probably pretty close to open PTU, to be honest. But what do you think? Are you playing in the PTU at the moment? What are your experiences? If you are you waiting on an open PTU or the live build? Are you looking forward to some of the promotions they're going to be doing with 3.6 live? Although they haven't confirmed anything, I'm suspecting a free flight and probably some flyable ship sales, maybe a straight to flyable ship or vehicle, maybe a concept sale as well at near-ish the same time. Who knows? But whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a ship giveaway. July is no different. We have an 890 jump to give away, donated by My Radar, who make a free weather app available for iOS, Android, and other mobile devices besides. They also have the Moons of Crusader and their services displayed in their app for Star Citizen, which is mega cool. And they are adding even more moons. Coming soon as well are the planets of Hurston and ArcCorp. Check out that app in the links below. I am still shilling for Shadow and NordVPN. So Shadow, that allows you to have a high-spec gaming and Windows 10 environment subscription service streamed to any device, old PC, laptop, phone, that sort of stuff. It's great for Star Citizen and any other modern game, and for people that want a Windows 10 sort of environment on the go. They do keep on updating their software and their hardware, so you don't have to worry about that. Also, I use NordVPN, which is a really useful VPN for security, privacy, or accessing websites more easily. It also has a lot of advantages over free VPN services, and it is still mega cheap. Use the code BoredGamer for Shadow or NordVPN to get a discount. Thank you for your continued support and love, especially from Robert Johnston, Huntress, Dalamars, Vamprist, Gear Khan, Cat Astrus Mega, Andy Green, Mill, and Snarky. You guys and girls are not just the best, but you're also my executive producers for the month of July, and you've gone beyond all possible sense financially in supporting the channel, so genuinely thank you very much. It is amazingly appreciated. If you do have any questions or ideas for content, organizations you want me to check out, or just want me to say hi to you, or you want to say hi, leave a comment below and I will try and read it and get back to you. Also, feel free to check out my Discord and my Reddit and my Facebook page and my Instagrams. I know lots of stuff down below if you're interested in any of that. But whatever, take care, guys, and I'll see you in the verse.